Hello, my peoples. I am Gandhi, and today this is Gandhi's Thoughts number 49. We are one episode away from 50. I have no idea what the hell I'm going to do for it. So if you got ideas, by all means, send them my way. If not, that's not what we're here to discuss. Today I want to discuss UMG Chicago. First things first, I want to talk about just like a little bit about how the event was ran, and then, at the beginning there's a lot of technical issues, and this isn't a hit on them at all. It's really just kind of Halo 4. Halo 4 with the DLC codes, you're always going to run into problems. So if you are personally looking at trying to run an event, definitely prepare to be just frustrated beyond belief. It's inevitable, and you actually have to deal with it. It sucks. I think Ghost or Bravo or every one of the UMG staffers figured it out. It just takes some time, so that was kind of the technical issues. Other than that, I liked it. The event was ran smooth. Cast rotation was good. Always kept being refreshing, and that's the main thing you want to do. You don't ever want to get too stale in regards to your production. The one thing that I do want to see be different for every tournament here on forward, and I know that I'm going to be sitting down with Brad from AGL and talking to him about this, but now since, UMG, there was less teams. I think there was 31 teams that went, but regardless, even though there was 31 teams, I would like to see the winners bracket semifinals being on Saturday night, because there's no big match Saturday night, and the viewer now is starting to realize that. Like, they realized that way back in the day in 2006, 2007, there wasn't too big of matches on Saturday night or Friday night, from that matter. So then what MLG did was they changed it up. They brought in only the top 16, and then they introduced pool play and all this crazy shit. So what really needs to happen is that the semifinals has to happen Saturday night. It has to. And then what happens is you reward the pros who are still in. So, excuse me. So if you're in the winners brackets finals, right, so top 3, you would be able to sleep in all day, get lunch, and then 3 o'clock your matches, or 2 o'clock Eastern, whatever, it doesn't matter. Just afternoonish, so that rewards you with sleeping. That's my only little quibble with everything. Now, other than that, I loved it. But so let's talk about the event. Let's talk about the results here. So I'm going to go ahead and just do a little bit of a rundown here. So this is going to be winners bracket round number 2, I assume. Really, the only thing that's super interesting to note in winners bracket round 2 is that Legendary kind of destroyed Pure. It kind of caught me by surprise. So, and the reason it caught me by surprise is, if you go back and watch episode 48, I said, well, I know Devin and I know Sargith, but I wasn't too familiar with the other 2 players that well. But when they came out hard versus Pure. And I was sitting there, and I ended up watching. I didn't get to see the first game. I saw the second game. But I was like, okay, that's game number 1. Well, it was best of 3, right? So it goes Team Slayer, Objective, Team Slayer. And so they got 2-0'd, and I was sitting there for like 5 minutes. I was just having such a brain fart. And I was like, oh, that's right. Best of 3. It didn't even cross my mind. But so Legendary kind of gets this momentum built up. And I was like, well, I said Pure was going to have a hard time coming into this. When you skip an event, and then you come to an event, so you have 12 weeks, essentially, of downtime, it is very, very tough to get your bearings back on straight. It is very, very difficult to have that tournament mentality. And I know it's something I could see in Trey's face, man. Trey was just so sad. And he has the heart of the competitor, but you know what? You can't miss events if you actually want to excel. And Straight Sick missed an event, so it's just the nature of the beast. You can't do it. Some people can get away with it, but in my life, I've never seen a player miss an event and then come back and still get top 6, top 4. It just very, very rarely happens. So jumping back into this, everything went all according to plan. Swarm played reality check. Everything in winners bracket round 2 all went smooth sailing. Moving on to the winners bracket, I guess this is the quarterfinals. Yeah, it's quarterfinals here. This match was probably the best one. If you guys have the chance to, and I don't know how UMG plans on doing their VOD or whatever, but watch the Ambush versus Legendary series. It was fantastic. So game number 1, Ambush comes out and they kind of are flat. I was watching, and I was like, oh shit, this isn't good. And so Maven's out in Montana or Minnesota, Montana. And so he has no service to stream anything, but he has enough to get a text. So I'm sitting there and I'm giving him updates. I'm text casting to Maven via the phone, and I'm just like, dude, I don't know what's going on with Ambush. They're getting outshot. Their positioning's kind of shitty. But so the first game was Capture Flag Simplex. Really, Legendary came out and they did an excellent job. That first overshield off the beginning is so big, but after that first overshield, Diesel did what he's notoriously known for doing, and that is securing his team the overshield every single time. After that first initial overshield, the members of Legendary did not have a single OS for the rest of the game. Rest of the fucking game. At least from my count. Now, I wasn't casting, I was sitting there watching, so they may have gotten one, but not really. But the one thing that did emerge from this series, and I don't know if it's accidental, but I was talking to APK, member of the Go Beyond Entertainment Squad, also a Forger, and I tweeted and I said, there's a new meta in town, right? And so meta just basically, when you hear someone say, oh, there's a new meta, basically what that means is that there's a new strategy for a map. And essentially what I was noticing is that when teams control purple, well, the top teams control purple when the overshield's coming up, because if you go from top gold to overshield, you just get annihilated. You get lit up, there's no way. But when you jump, there seems to be a big difference of getting that overshield. You can secure it. And plus, since it's on a 2-minute timer, it's there, and then you just keep pushing in. So it's kind of mental in your head that you can just keep running those cycles. But so when that overshield is not coming up, you can actually notice that teams shift from purple. Teams who are successful at Simplex, at least this weekend, shift from purple and they push 2 gold and they push like a guy top middle and maybe a guy bottom middle. But it's really like gold heavy, and then there's a guy top middle. And essentially what that does is, and when I was talking to APK, he said there's just less lines of sight in the gold, and it makes sense. But the one thing I was noticing is that teams have it in their head to always just push purple, right? And it's just purple, 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 railgun purple, 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 top purple, top purple. Well, you know what? When so many teams have a problem with just, what happens is they, like, let's say I am going up to purple and I get outshot. Well, I'm going right back up to purple because I know exactly where you are, instead of adjusting my gameplay, because I want to play that 1v1 battle again. Maven's notorious for this. If you ever watch Maven play, he will hunt down 1v1 battles as much as he wants, but that's not what you want to do. So what happens is so you flip it on him. And by pushing from gold, I'll be able to do a video on this, I'll keep it short, but by pushing from gold, what happens is you catch them on the flank, essentially, because you have a guy top middle, he distracts, and then you pull the flag and you run it to them. Because when you kill them on one side, they will spawn the other. 9 times out of 10. Sure, there's those random instances where sometimes they spawn behind you, but 9 times out of 10, that's exactly how it happens. So this kind of emerged from that series. So then anyways, game number 2, we have Team Slayer on Haven, Legendary. It's like back and forth, back and forth. It was 1 kill, 2 kill difference, and then at the end, Devin gets like a triple kill to send him up 49 to 46. And then I was sitting there, I was like, oh god. Oh, Little Talent was also on their team, but the name I had down on the forums, I had no idea who Little Talent was, but Little Talent's been around since I think Halo 2. No doubt in my mind, Halo 3, he's been around. So they go up 49-46, and like I'm like, oh shit, Ambush is kind of screwed. I highly doubt this is gonna happen. Especially with how melees are and with 2-shot beatdowns, like there's a chance, but you know, Ambush was trapped blue ramp, and I was like, rest in pieces, dudes. And so then they push, and that was kind of the end of it. So rest in pieces, Ambush in game 2. Then game 3 and 4. Game 3 was back and forth, back and forth. I want to say I think it was Station 9. If it wasn't Station 9, it was Haven, but I'm 97% positive it was Station 9. And Ambush won either 5-3 or 5-4. Whatever it was, doesn't matter. The big difference was those first 3 games, Legendary was toe-to-toe with Ambush. They were fighting them every single time. They were winning their individual battles as well. And when you split 60-40 with a team like Ambush, you really put a lot of pressure on them because they're not a team that relies on their individual battles, but when you win those individual battles, it's a lot harder for them, right? Because they're so used to just winning them now. They're so used to just, la-di-da-di-da, 4, get out of my way, grab a sniper, brain, and you know you're screwed. But so, it puts them on their heels just a little bit, just enough to show that they have a weakness, right? And then so game number 4 came around, and it was Capture Flag Dispatch, which, as everyone should know now, is now referred to as Ambush Flag, and that's exactly how it went. The members of Legendary kind of stepped back down into reality, as I like to call it, when playing against Ambush, and 3 of them had 10 to 12 kills, and then one of them had 20 kills, but on the other side, Ambush had everyone over 20s, and they won like 5-2. So Ambush starts shining, right? And it's Ambush Flag, or Dispatch Flag, just to not confuse everyone. Dispatch Flag does 2 things for Ambush, and I tweeted this yesterday. The first thing it does is gives them momentum. The second thing it does is demoralizes their opponent. So when you see, 9 times out of 10, when you see Ambush have game number 1 be Capture Flag Dispatch, if you don't see a Station 9 as game 3, you can bet your ass there's going to be a 3-0. It's just the nature of the beast. So, anyways, that's going to be that match, and Ambush will advance. Obviously, you can see here that classic advance, and if you watch, you know that too. But Severance comes back out, and they get Proverb. Coming back, he was discharged medically from the Air Force in boot camp, so now he's back on Severance. But the big story here was Roy has returned. Roy is in place of Russo on Classic, and he is kind of destroying online, and it carries over to LAN. These games weren't really close. Simplex was kind of a joke to watch. Team Slayer Haven, I think they had like 34, 37, I don't know, something like that. And then game number 3, whether it was Station 9 or Haven, I think it was over pretty fast. So there's nothing to really talk about here. All this was just kind of like the first look of Classic versus a team who is going to finish in the top 8. That's essentially it. So then dropping down here, BTH versus Warriors. Now, I was sitting here and I was like, you know, there's a chance that, you know, this may be a good series. No, just hypothetically, right? Because, and the reason I say it's going to be a good series is because Ares is a great pickup for his team. He's just super solid. He's all around talented. He's a great communicator. He's got this dry, weird sense of humor that fits BTH perfectly. So you don't have to worry about a personality clash. You don't have to worry about you know, him not fitting into the team because he can do anything. So when I was looking at that, I was like, okay, you know, if Lethal gets fed snipers, which is exactly what BTH should be doing. Cloud, no sniper. Maniac, no sniper. Ares, no sniper. Feed them to Lethal. Lethal gets sniper every single time, kind of like, I don't know, formal style, then they have a chance. They really do, because Lethal, although he is like the biggest troll in the history of Halo, or well, at least currently, well, actually probably in the history, he still has a super good shot. He's maybe not the smartest of players, but he has a super good shot. So if you just get him in a rhythm with the sniper, he's going to excel. So Warriors goes up 2-0, and then, okay, it is Station 9, I just remembered. So then Station 9 Extraction comes around, and BTH shows a little bit of life. They're like, okay, yeah, you know what, we got this. Slap hands, let's do this. And so they win game 3, and I'm like, okay, it's not bad. Capture Flag Dispatch is next, though, and I was like, ah, shit. It's not happening. Warriors is really, really good on Dispatch Capture the Flag, besides when they play against Ambush. And that's just every team. That's just it. It's just how it's going to be. And anyone, my favorite thing was I was sitting there on Skype with Maven. I don't know why I threw my hands up like I was on a cellular device. Like, oh, hey, Maven, you know this? I was sitting here on Skype with Maven, and he was like, he goes, I find it so funny that people like to say that, you know, Dispatch is so imbalanced. I was like, yeah, it doesn't actually make sense. It's perfectly balanced. But the problem is that sniping in this game is really easy. But here's the thing that you guys all have to know. a game type cannot be bad unless every team basically has like a 60-40 chance of winning it, right? If it's like damn close to a coin flip, that's when a game type gets pulled. But when there's consistency, you don't see game types get pulled. And I don't think Ambush has lost that game type ever. So they have 100% win percent. They have 100% ratio. Fuck that. They have won it 100% of the time. So there's no randomness there, right? There isn't, which is good. But the problem is, it's just that the sniper we need de-scoping. Like, that's it. That's going to make the difference. But even still with de-scoping, it's still going to suck for every team. It's the nature of the beast. You have the two best snipers in the game on one team. Deal with it. Welcome to Halo 1 when you had to play against Ogre 1 and Ogre 2. And welcome to Halo 2. Well, yeah, welcome to Halo 2 in 2005 when you had to play against Ogre 1 and Ogre 2. Kill yourself. Not fun. It isn't. But so, the only thing, just as a hypothetical here, the only thing they can actually do to change dispatch is to put a sniper yellow sticks and then put an overshield green sticks. Like, right in the middle. And all that's going to do is it's just going to make people fight for it over to the sides. I think that's the only change you can make, and I think it may not be a bad change. So anyways, moving on down. Yeah. Status Quo versus Reality Check. I did not watch this matchup. I passed right the hell out. I do know, based on looking at the score, that they won 3-1. But, you know, I was actually kind of hoping that was going to be was streamed. I meant the Reality Check versus BTH match was going to be streamed. I was really, really looking forward to that. But it's no surprise here. I mean, Status Quo got second at the AGL Knoxville event, and they looked really good. They beat the shit out of every other team besides Ambush, who they got their ass kicked by, which is kind of the story of this event as well with these teams. So it's not like anyone expects RC to win that, but it would have been nice to see a Game 5. Because the thing is, it's like, they had Elamite on their team, yeah? And that's good. He's a good addition. But the problem is somehow you have to bring out the best attributes in the Sudus. Both of them. Just fucking reach in their heart and just pull fucking something out that's going to work, right? Because somewhere in this fucking region, they have the desire to win, and they also have the desire to pull off big plays. We saw it at Nashville versus Ambush. We saw it happen. They have it in them, but they just don't always show up. I don't know if it's not a dedication thing because they play all the time, but something like that has to happen. And I don't know if it's the supporting cast. Obviously, Elamite Warrior is a good player. I don't know how much time to put into this event, but for Knoxville, the next one, AGL 8, I would like to see Sudus come out like they did at Nashville, because it's been a long time since that happened. So moving on into the semifinals. So in the semifinals here, we will start from the top. So this matchup here, Ambush vs. Classic, there's a lot of hype about this going into the event. Ghost Sayami was like, "Oh, Classic's gonna win, bro," and I was like, "Dude, God, you don't get it, man. You just don't get it." And I know everyone's sitting at home and they're saying, "Oh God, get off their dick, Gandhi." And I'm like, well, someone fucking test them, dude. Someone test them. No team has taken 4 games from them in a continuation series. No, one team has taken 2 games from them, and that was Warriors at AGL Nashville. And they didn't play for 7 hours. So that, if anything, it's fucking asterisk, right? So, someone test them. But so, I was sitting there, I was looking at the game types, and I just watched Warriors play Status Quo. So I had them in my head. And so basically, it went Capture the Flag Dispatch. Or no. Was it Dispatch? Oh God, I forget what it was now. I think it was Capture the Flag. Fuck it, doesn't matter. Oh no, I gotcha. It was Capture the Flag Simplex, Team Slayer Abandon, Station 9 Extraction. Now, Station 9 Extraction, or no, Haven Extraction, sorry. Everyone knows Station 9 Extraction is Ambush, is like basically their worst game type. And they avoided that. Game 2 is Team Slayer on Abandon. Team Slayer on Abandon is probably their best Slayer, in my opinion. The reason why they work so well on that is because it comes down to a lot of weird angles, but also it depends on your movement around the map. And if there's one thing, like, classic members are right neck and neck with Ambush in regards to how they move around the map. And right there with them is going to be SQ in movement on the map, on this map. Those three teams get it. But then it comes down to individual skill. And then it comes down to teamwork. And that's where Ambush kind of knocks it up one notch. And they also have Diesel as the fifth man. They got every overshield again. So when I saw that, I tweeted, I said, looking at the game types, guys, I think there's a good chance they're going to get 3-0. Classic is. And everyone tweets me, they're like, oh, dude, you're crazy. I'm like, I'm telling you, man, it's there. So then, being the cocky, arrogant asshole I am, I screenshotted it after it was a 3-0, and I threw it up on Twitter, and I said, just saying. So minus the fact that I am a complete tool and I love stroking my own ego, that was basically how the series went. They were close games, right? Like, people have to stop getting hung up on the fact that they're close games, though. At the end of the day, it's all about who closes the game types. It can be 50-49s, it can be 5-3s, 5-4s, it can be anything. It can be a 5-0. Right? You remember that shitty Vin Diesel quote where he's like, doesn't matter if you win by an inch or a mile, winning's winning. You're like, well, you raced a quarter mile, so how the fuck does that make sense? Whatever. It's right. It doesn't, all that matters is who wins. And Ambush closes. So although they were close, yes, it doesn't matter. I've been on that side. I've been on the opposite side of having close games and falling short. Go watch 2007 National Championship for its final boss. I've been there. Minus the Beaver Creek game type. They fucked us up on that. 2-1s, 3-2s. Like, it sucks. You know what? It doesn't matter because they went undefeated. No one cares about the person who gets second. If you go undefeated, everyone cares about the people who go undefeated. And even if you don't go undefeated, people only care about who won. And if it was a good series, they may watch it. But inevitably, they know that you won. So that's what matters. So that's basically how it went. Ambush kind of comes out and they say 3-0, rest in peace, is classic, go into the losers bracket. Then, so the first matchup was Warriors and SQ. And I caught the tail end of it, and I watched game 4. Yeah, I know. I watched game 3, which was Haven Extraction, and I watched game 4, I think I did. I can't remember what game 4 was, but whatever it was, I know that Warriors closed out. And I did hear also that game number 1 was like Capture the Flag Simplex, and Warriors was up 4-3, and then what kind of happened was a box shut out, but luckily, or a monitor shut out on status quo side. So instead of just having to score 1 cap and the members of SQ had to score 2 caps, they had to replay the entire game, which I still don't know how I feel about that. That's how MLG used to do it, but I'm starting to think maybe, perhaps, you should just go for 1 flag, but at the same time, some teams are just better off to start than others, and, you know, I don't know. I got to think about it more. Thank God I'm not in charge of the rules, because I probably would have only made them get 1 flag and SQ make 2 flags, just because it was 4-3, replaying the whole thing. Doesn't seem right, does it? Well, anyways, so Warriors closes out. I don't have too much knowledge on this because, like I said, I didn't watch it. So then moving into the winners bracket finals. Now this is the matchup that everyone was essentially waiting for since AGL Nashville, and this matchup was hyped up, right? Like, it was really, really good. But guess what game type 1 was? Game number 1 was Dispatch Capture the Flag. And what are the 2 things I said that Ambush does on Capture? And what are the 2 things Dispatch does for Ambush? Gives them momentum, demoralizes the other team. Well, they won 5-2. They Snipe Down was devouring everything in sight. Game 2, they come out and they win. Game 3, they go to their worst game type. Now, this is where shit gets interesting. They go to Station 9. They get up and they're playing very well. Now, in my personal opinion, I used to say that Warriors was the best at Station 9. No longer do I say that because of the way they played this past weekend. I wouldn't say they're the best at it anymore, but they're still definitely very, very good at it. So, match number 1, part 1, basically. Ambush is keeping up, and they're up 4-3. They're up 4-2, and Warriors starts making this, like, fucking triumphant comeback, right? Like, sound the horn, guy beating on the drums. Here comes Mel Gibson running through the field holding the American flag, right? And meanwhile, Ambush is just sitting there as the Redcoats, and they're like, shit. They're militiamen, right? And so, Warriors gets the third one, so now it is 4-3, and now they're setting up for the next one. And they panned a legit screen, and everyone just his Xbox freezes completely, and so then they had to swap out. So Ambush is sitting there, and they're like, well, you know, they had to be mad, right? Like both teams have the right to be mad in this scenario because Warriors was making the comeback. Ambush had the lead. You can see it from both sides. Now, who would have won? Fuck if I know. Don't ask me those kind of questions because anything can happen. But based on my sheer memory, I would say Warriors was probably going to pull that one out. Doesn't matter. So, they reboot. Everything's up. They have to start all the way back over, which I think is the right thing to do on Extraction. So, they start all the way back over. And Ambush gets their asses kicked. They lose 5-1, and it was like a dominant performance by all 4 members of Warriors. They all looked really, really good. They were moving around the map very, very well, dodging in and out. It was awesome. So then, and when I say dodging in and out, like on Station 9, that's big because the most important thing about Station 9 is small talk with your teammates. So when you duck behind a wall and your teammate comes out in front of you and then you jump back out on the other side, you're normally working better than the other team and you're also getting the kills and staying alive. And that's like those 3 fucking things are the most important goddamn thing in the entire game type of Station 9 Extraction. Period. So game number 4 comes around and it's a drift capture the flag. Again, that's a map with 2 snipers, but it's not nearly as bad as Dispatch because the lines of sight are all kind of screwy. There's weird angles there. So Ambush ends up walking away with it, and I remember Formal really caught his stride. Now, he told me in a text, I don't know if it was versus Warriors, or I think it was versus Warriors, but he said a drift captured the flag. He had 1 clip of sniper, and he got 4 headshots, stopped the flag, and got the overkill. So he got an overkill flag stop with 1 fucking clip. All headshots. Dirty. We didn't see it, but dirty, right? And I remember I was sitting there, and they were on the screen for a bit, and I was like, oh, man, Formal's catching his stride in this one. And when a player like Formal or Ninja or Roy really starts catching their stride in a game, it's scary. It really is. Snipe Down, obviously, in the mix too. Ola in the mix as well. But when they start catching their stride, it's scary because what happens is you don't see them. When a player is playing so confident that they're not second-guessing themselves, they go into what I used to call robot mode. And what robot mode was is something how I used to refer to Ogre 1 and Ogre 2 when they would destroy. Robot mode is basically when you're essentially just on autopilot and you're just going through the motions and you're just destroying everything. Some people it's easier than others, but you know, when you hit it, it's unbelievable, and it's few things because you basically just lose complete sense of time. You could play a 30-minute of drift capture the flag and you have no idea what the fuck time it is. But you're just on autopilot. You're listening to everything and you're just destroying. That was the Void. It was amazing. That's what I saw Formal getting into, and I was like, oh shit, they're screwed. There's just no way. So Ambush now moves on into the finals, and that puts Warriors guaranteed top 3. So going back down here, there we go. There's the losers bracket. Here's my losers bracket. So the first thing that, where's it at? There's what's going on? Well, there we go. God damn it, so bad. The first thing that's crazy to me is Pure loses to Mishy Shade. Now, I have absolutely no idea who they are or who's even on the team. So that's that. I did have Pure losing in this round, but versus Swarm. And so at least Swarm won, and they would have been in that round. But Pure, I don't know what's going on with Trey, but Trey needs to reevaluate his team decisions. I think Trey is a very, very good player who can only get better. He has a unique quality, and it's not just passion, it's team leadership, and he has a very, very good understanding of the game. I'm sure he may not convey his points the right way, but I think with time he'll get better at that. But he needs to sit down, reevaluate everything, and start picking teammates who actually mean a shit, not just names. He needs to get players who are actually dedicated and want to play, because those are the people he's going to excel with. Cheers. So Swarm ends up getting beat by Severance again. This was kind of a rematch from AGL 6 Pittsburgh, where Severance ended up closing them out. A little bit different team then, though, so it's, Legendary beats Resurrected, and now we see as that everything's just kind of all going according to plan, right? So then we move on. Reality Check gets annihilated. Now, this match wasn't on stage, but the fact that they lost 3-0 to BTH is like, what the shit, right? Like, because BTH, they're good, but they're not like 3-0 Reality Check good. You know what I mean? I would expect them to at least take a game. But so BTH, the good thing about BTH is that they don't lose to any team they're not supposed to. And that's a win for them. But I'm waiting for the day when BTH decides, you know what? We're tired of being wildly mediocre. We want to be the best. And that day should come soon, but that day will be better. And it'll be better for a lot of people. So then, meanwhile, in the same bracket here, or in the same round here, Legendary just 3-0 Severance. Now, I didn't even know this happened until I was looking at this morning. But Legendary, consisting of Sargoth, now, if you remember, they gave Ambush a very, very good run for their money in the quarterfinals of the winners bracket, and they carried on. I tweeted and I said, as long as Legendary doesn't get their heads stuck up their asses, they will make top 6. Well, luckily, they didn't get their heads stuck in their asses, and they actually were rewarded top 6. Yeah, top 6. I was trying to do the bracket in my head. So they were able to get top 6. Unfortunately, which you guys are going to see right here, they met up with Status Quo, and it wasn't the best. Now, I know it says 3-0, but I'm like 75% positive that it was actually a 3-1. Because I remember someone tweeted, like, Legendary's up 1-0, or something to that extent. So I think that bracket's wrong. I could be mistaken, but I just remember seeing that tweet, and you can't tell lies in Twitter, so I gotta believe it, right? That's neither here nor there. Everyone knows that. That's science. So then Classic plays BTH. It was a 3-1. BTH's problem was they just couldn't hang. They just couldn't hang. That's it. But really, that right there was the start. This right here is the start of Roy's terror. Roy starts really catching into a swing on things, and then they go in versus Status Quo, and like I said, they go in on Status Quo. This is the good thing about this matchup was this is the rematch, right? So at the last event, at AGL 8 or AGL 7, excuse me, Classic got 3-0 swept by Status Quo. Close games, the same scenario where they lost to Ambush, but they got 3-0. And that was that. And Status Quo was like, haha, fuck you. And so then Classic was rewarded with third. But this same portion of the bracket is when they played Warriors at, and Warriors ended up losing to them. So that's how Warriors got fourth and Classic got third. But so in this scenario, Status Quo takes fourth. And so my top 4, my top 6, actually my top 8, I'm only missing 2 teams. I'm missing Legendary, and I am missing, and I think, yeah, that's it. I'm only missing Legendary for my top 8. So Other than that, I had the order just switched with Warriors and Classic. So I was, I don't know, whatever that is. I was like 8 for 10, which I'll take any day of the week, any day of the fucking week. But so Classic versus SQ was really, really good for them because they got over that hump again, and now we see as Mick Wynn has now tied his personal record, which is getting top 3. It's the first time he ever did it at the last event. This is the second time he did it, and he's looking to improve. So moving forward here, we do see as Pulse Classic ends up playing Warriors. Now, if you're wondering how this happened is when you lose the Winners Bracket Finals, you are guaranteed top 3, and you go and play in the Losers Bracket Finals, which is right here. Now, when this game started up, I want to say the first game was like Capture the Flag Simplex or something to that nature. And I said, you know, I really don't know who's going to take this. I don't. This is a very, very tough series. And if there's one thing I know is Warriors was looking good, but the Warriors problem is a problem that is very, very easily corrected. But I don't know if they'll ever do it. What happens is Warriors have so much passion. Like, Ninja has so much passion for this game. He only wants to be the best in this game. Well, what happens is when you always want to be the best and then you go and you play, you know, Ambush in the Winners Bracket Finals, and you kind of get manhandled. Well, not really. I mean, they lost 3-1, but 2 of the games weren't that close. When you lose to them, that's like your heart and soul are just fucking ripped out of you, right? Like, that's it. Done. And they need to learn to bounce back. Like, they had everything to prove in this series. Warriors had everything to prove. Classic came out last event, and then Rhino was basically like, fuck all of you, right? Like, you dropped me, I'm better, blah. And they got 3-0. Warriors got 3-0, right? And that's scary as shit. But then, so in this, that's like Warriors has everything to fucking prove. They beat Status Quo. They're in the Winners Bracket Finals. They gave Ambush a decent run for their money moving forward. Well, now they're in the Losers Bracket Finals here, and they're taking on Classic. Now, Classic goes up 2-0. Warriors rallies back, too. So now we are going into Game 5. Now, Game number 5 is going to be a map for a lot of people that they're not going to understand how it could be even possible, the result that I'm about to say. But I'm going to tell you. So, Team Slayer on Onyx, Maven and I always like to say this, is that this, like, even though it's a small arena map, when you have Sprint, it becomes even smaller, and when you understand spawns, you then basically fuck your opposition. You're basically just smashing them hard over and over and over again. So you actually do see blowouts happen on these maps. And it's weird because normally on small arena maps, you don't see that kind of happen. But in this one, you get annihilated. And that's what happened. So the game started off on Roy, who is our boy. I referred to him as a knight with chromed out fucking armor, wielding the Excalibur sword. But he has to go against the dragon, which is Ambush. And so we started off on Roy, and they didn't switch off of Roy. Roy ends up going 16-3, and they end up winning like 50-27. It was rape. It was the most anticlimactic Game 5 of all time. That's just how it was. And at this point, I was on Skype with, it was me, Maven, Neighbor, and Impended, I want to say. And I was sitting there, and I said, you know what, dude, I think they're out of gas. You're like, oh, dude, come on, man. Well, Maven, everyone knows Maven loves Pistola. He loves them. So Maven was like, you might be right. But everyone else was like, dude, no way, man. They're cruising. I was sitting there, and I was like, well, you know, like, thinking about it in my head, like, they played the Winners Bracket semifinals. They then did the match for top 4, the match for top 3, the match for top 2. Like, that's taxing. That is a very, very taxing day. And for Roy, who's played, 3 to 5 hours a day, this is, I mean, it's not his first rodeo by no stretch, but that has so much wear and tear on you. It really, really does. So I was like, I just don't. I think Roy and the guys of Classic should be happy with what they have. Sure, they're going to give it their best, but I think they're just going to get steamrolled. So sure enough, when you come up to here, hold on, there we are. When you come up to here, you realize that it was a 6-0. Now, the first 3 games were close when they met up in the winners bracket semifinals. I don't want to take anything away from them, but it was close. Second series, it wasn't bad, but I could just tell that, like, it's hard to not be content, right? Like, Warriors lost to them. Status Quo lost to them. Like, they have proved that they are the second best team now. They basically beat everyone. They beat everyone. So they have nothing left to prove now besides to be the very best in the game. And I felt like they got just a little bit content. But the other thing is that it's fucking ambush, dude. Like, people get so excited for the second and third place matchup because everyone knows, like, the finals are going to be kind of anticlimactic. And it sucks, but no one's yet to test them. They have yet to, like I said earlier, in a continuation series of 11 on land, they have not been taken to 4. Like, they haven't lost 4 games. The total they've lost to one team in an event was 2 games. Are you kidding me? 2 fucking games? Like, this is a terror that is far worse than most terrors that I've seen in my entire Halo career. And even when you go back to Team STK in 2005 in Halo 2, they lost the tournament at Philly 05, but they also dropped games, right? Like, they dropped a couple games. Like, even at the beginning in 06 Final Boss, they got, like, they 6-3'd and 6-4'd and 6-4'd and 6-4'd teams in the finals. They lost games. They were human. These guys on Ambush, they've only lost 2 games to one team at one event. That's when you start scratching your head and you're saying, well, what the fuck do we do? And that's why I refer to them as a 9,000-year-old dragon. They are this fucking old, cranky, just pissed off dragon just sitting on this fucking mountain that I like to call Championship Sunday. And they just get pissed off. They just get so tired of people trying to climb up that they just fucking eat them. They don't even waste their fire breath on them. They just fucking eat them. And that's what happens. So soon, maybe Roy can wield Excalibur just right and fucking slay the dragon, but it's gonna take time. It really is. So there you have it. So doing a little bit of one more thing here. Ambush first, Classic second. Warriors got 3rd, Status Quo got 4th, 5th, 6th. We do have Legendary and BTH, which is good for BTH, but it's time to wonder, when are they actually going to get better? I'm so tired of this blue box, man. I'm so done. 7th, 8th, we do have Severance, and we have Reality Check. I would say that's good for Severance. I'm sure Reality Check is slightly pissed off. Coming into the top 12, we do have Swarm. I predicted them, I think, in my top 8, which sucks dick, you pieces of shit. Swarm is the Canadian team. They are really good. I'm a big fan of Burton. I think he has a lot to go for, or a lot to live up to, and I think he's only going to get better from here. Mishy Shade, the team who upsetted Pure. Not sure what they're about, but salute for making it into the top 12. Same with taking over. And then we have Gamers for Christ Resurrected as our 10th seed, filling in right where they belong, basically 9 through 12. Last but not least here, we do have AGL 8 coming up. We have AGL 8 coming up July 19th through 21st. I believe the guys want to do, I think the guys from Arena Gaming want to do a 72-man bracket, and apparently the quicker we fill it out, the better. I have to talk to Brad about it, but there's something that the quicker we get it, the more stuff they can roll out, or the bigger prizes it is. It's something to that extent. I'm sorry I shouldn't have even brought it up because I don't fucking know what I'm talking about, but that's that. Other than that, thank you, Envy. Envy has sent me this badass fucking no-slow controller. If you don't know what a no-slow is, it basically Xbox 360s that come out of the box, the the fucking controller is a big piece of shit. I can't say it any more than that. When you turn left, sometimes it'll go slow, or right, or up, or down. It's fucking awful. So they specialize in custom-made controllers and controllers that aren't slow turn. So essentially, it alleviates a burden from you completely. So thank you very much for sending me that. You mean the world to me. Other than that, I am going to take a nap, and then I am going to be gaming from probably 3:30 all the way on. Fucking free-for-alls, dog. I'm going to be making Maven my bitch. So stay tuned. I love you, but I don't love you.